Africa's King of Kings, Muammar Gaddafi, is elected as the new chairman of the African Union, an uneasy choice for many African leaders who believe he is too erratic to be the AU's chairman and also express skepticism about his vision for a United States of Africa. Hello everyone, welcome to this new edition of The Week in Africa. Coming up, the power struggle continues in Madagascar and with it the population suffering. We meet a priest who's been helping families in distress. Caring for female rape victims in the DRC, it's Dr. Mukwege's life mission, and we'll celebrate the blacks who made France. But first, the political crisis in Zimbabwe could soon be over. The parliament has unanimously passed a constitutional bill that paves the way for a coalition government of President Robert Mugabe and opposition rivals. Under the deal, MDC leader Morgan Tsvangirai becomes the country's new prime minister. Tsvangirai last week agreed to join a unity government with Mugabe's ZANU-PF party after months of wrangling over ministerial posts. Now to the Indian Ocean island of Madagascar. As the political feud continues between the president and the mayor of Antananarivo, so does the population suffering. Hundreds took to the street again this week to protest against the government and demand an improvement in their living conditions. The majority of the population on the Indian Ocean island is poor, many living on less than $1 a day. Well, France and Cat's Catherine Norris Trent in Antananarivo met with a Roman Catholic priest who's been helping those living in extreme poverty. In 20 years of missionary work, Father Pedro has saved some 10,000 children from the dump.
The main rubbish dump serving Madagascar's capital city. Despite the heat and the stench, thousands of people work here day and night, scratching out a living, foraging for scrap to reuse.
We're here because it's our job. It gives us money. We can find food for our children and families here.
Father Pedro has lived in Madagascar for decades and has long been campaigning on behalf of local people.
Ça fait 20 ans.
For the last 20 years, we've been calling for this rubbish dump to close. When I first came here, there were thousands of children. Now, thank God, they are all at school, but the parents are here. They look for coal, plastic, iron, that they can then sell. But for their dignity, for the dignity of the capital, the dump must be closed.
Of Slovenian origin, Father Pedro came to Madagascar to work as a priest. But shocked by the island's poverty, he founded a charity. His foundation includes a school which educates 9,000 children. Father Pedro's charity has become an entire community. The foundation even has its own quarry. Granite and limestone are extracted to help build roads and houses. And the end result, homes for thousands of impoverished people. All this doesn't come cheap. Father Pedro's venture relies on funding from the EU and Monaco, among others.
We have hundreds, thousands of families who ask for housing. No one foresaw this.
At the centre of the community, though, lies the church. After all, Father Pedro came here first and foremost as a Catholic priest.
I've been here since 1970, and since then there have been already 5 or 6 similar revolts, when the people demonstrate. Because 70% of the population are abandoned, and that is why the situation becomes explosive.
Much of Madagascar's population is Christian, and a congregation of 4,000 turned out for this Sunday Mass, celebrating the Festival of Light. Along with Father Pedro, many are praying for a quick end to the island's current crisis, which has made life even harder for some of the world's poorest people.
Somalia has a new president. Lawmakers elected moderate Islamist leader Sheikh Sharif Sheikh Ahmed following the resignation of President Abdullahi Yusuf Ahmed last month. Sheikh Sharif Ahmed came to prominence as one of the leaders of the Union of Islamic Courts, which controlled most of southern Somalia for 6 months in 2006. The U.S. has welcomed his election and vowed to support his efforts to restore stability in the war-torn country. Kenya is mourning for the victims of 2 massive fires that killed 140 people last week. More than 110 people were killed last Saturday in Molo, northwest of Nairobi, after an overturned gasoline tanker exploded as hundreds of people were trying to scoop up free fuel. Another fire last week at a supermarket in Nairobi killed nearly 30 people. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, there is fresh hope for peace in the eastern region amid growing cooperation between the Rwandan and Congolese governments. Up to 5 million people have been killed in the conflict, which has involved rebel forces from both countries. Now, all sides have been accused of carrying out horrific atrocities against civilians, in particular mass rape. Well, a Congolese doctor who's been helping female rape victims in the DRC has recently been awarded with the Olaf Palm Prize for outstanding achievement. Dr. Denis Mukwege runs a hospital for abused women and children, and he says the world is not doing enough to resolve the Congo crisis.
Caring for female victims of war. This is Dr. Denis Mukwege's life mission. After medical studies in Burundi and in France, he came back to the Democratic Republic of Congo to help the many women without medical access. In 1999, the gynecologist founded the Panzi Hospital in Bukavu, the capital of South Kivu. Little did he know at the time that his institution would become a reference for the treatment of sexually abused women. He also did not imagine the extent to which rape is used as a weapon of war.
People don't realize to what extent a woman's life is destroyed when she suffers humiliation, torture, mutilation, and rape by several men.
These women are all survivors. Ranging from age 11 to 60 years old, they are victims of rape, sexual mutilation, and other acts of barbarity. According to the United Nations, in 2006, 27,000 cases of rape were recorded in the region of South Kivu alone, a veritable epidemic.
For years, we have been receiving visitors from all over, from every continent. These people know, like the back of their hands, exactly what's going on. But still, we have come nowhere near finding a solution.
About 10 women arrive at the Panzi Hospital every day. Nearly 1/3 of them need 1 or more operations to reconstruct their vaginal areas and sometimes even their digestive tracts. Dr. Mukwege wants the world to know about these monstrosities.
I think that there are men and women in this world who are starting to say to themselves, why this silence? And we are screaming to these people, screaming as loud as we can, that enough is enough. The battlefield cannot be replaced by a woman's genitalia.
Dr. Mukwege's plea has been heard. He recently received the Olaf Palm Prize, an award which will bring attention to the rape pandemic in the DRC, but will not be enough to stop it.
Now, from the African soldiers who fought alongside French troops during the 2 world wars to poets and musicians, Africans throughout history have contributed to the making of France. Now, some were famous, others not, but a new book is celebrating them all.
It is by strolling through the alleys of Paris Museum of Immigration that Le Monde journalist Benoit Hopkin got the idea of writing his book, a book on the black people who throughout history contributed to the making of France. From the Chevalier de Saint-Georges to Aimé Césaire, many black people took part to the shaping of the country.
From the 60s onward, historians have had the tendency to whiten the history of France. The shame of colonization, the shame of our surroundings made us put on the side a common complex history.
The book is a portrait gallery of people. Some had a famous fate, others didn't. Who does remember today the first black actor, Habib Benglia, who started his career in Paris after the First World War? A black actor in the theater was applauded for the first time. Who does remember the thousands of black soldiers who, like young Guinean Adiba, were sent to the front? Adiba was brought half dead before a firing squad in Épinal on December 18, 1943, and shot. His last words were, "Vive la France." A street of a village in the east of France was named after him in the year 2003, as a sign of late recognition of his role played as a soldier.
In France, they were treated as equals by their fellow white soldiers. But when they went back to Africa, what they experienced again was the racism of the colonial power. These former soldiers found the independence movement because they couldn't stand being treated as indigenous people anymore.
Benoit Hopkins' book does not intend to portray an extensive gallery. Some of the legendary figures like Senghor or Aimé Césaire are part of it, alongside with people who served their country by their work and contributed to foster the history of France.
Well, that's it for this edition of The Week in Africa. We look forward to reading your comments and reactions. You can log on to our website at France24.com. Join us again next week, same time, same continent. Thanks for watching.